Hello and welcome to Organic Edible Garden. The days are getting longer and spring is just around the corner. And spring is the beginning of the gardener's year. Even though it's warming up, the ground temperature is still cool, so it's good to put in crops that take the cooler conditions in the rain before we put in our summer crop. I've still got my winter crop in, which will tie me over until the spring crop is ready to eat. I've got things like Perpetual Spinach, which is going to seed, which is a sure sign of change of seasons. Don't worry about it going to seed, you can still pick it and eat it. And the kales, which is going slightly yellow, I'm going to feed it with a bit more nitrogen or animal manures, and that will keep me going for a few weeks yet. What we're going to grow today are some quick growing salad vegetables. These guys still like the cooler conditions and will be ready in about 4 to 6 weeks. We're going to put in things like some mustard lettuce for a bit of spice, some lettuce itself. We're going to plant Canasta today because it's the hardiest of all lettuces. We'll put in a bit of tatsoi to bulk up the salads, a bit of rocket, and finally a bit of mesclun to add a bit of colour to our meal. I'm going to place these guys from smaller to larger. This is north over here, so I want these guys to get enough sun. The mustard lettuce is by far the tallest crop, so that'll go at the back of the garden bed. Apart from being really quick growing, one of the best things about your salad crops is that they don't take a lot of nutrients or don't really need that deeper soil. Now I'm going to go and plant these not too close to the edge, because what I want to do is I want to go and put a netting over to keep the birds off. We're also going to put some large leaf rocket in, but we're going to leave a gap between them for two reasons. One, I want to give the lettuce a bit of space, but the other thing is we want to put some yeast traps in because at this time of year the slugs and snails like the salady crops. This week we're into the new moon, which is great for things like these green leafy vegetables. You find if you plant your green leafy vegetables in the new moon phase like this week, they take off really quickly. It's always good to be on the front foot with controlling the slugs and snails. There's nothing more disheartening than coming out and watching your whole crop being decimated by them. You can control them, and if you keep them at bay, they won't be a problem. And the two best ways we have to control these guys is with the yeast trap and an upturned pot. To make the yeast traps, it's really easy. It's about a heaped teaspoon of yeast and a heaped teaspoon of white sugar, and then mixing with a bit of warm water will help activate it. When it's done and it's been bubbling, I'll insert it into the soil at ground level so the slugs and snails can crawl into it. Now while we're leaving this to do its bit, I'll go and set up the other trap. This is really simple. What we do is we go and screw up a whole lot of newspaper. It can be dry newspaper because the moisture will come out the soil and make it damp anyway. Now that they're in there, we're going to turn the pot upside down on the soil. We're going to stick a small rock under one end so the snails can go in there. The moisture will come in there, and during the day they're going to look for somewhere to sleep. So they'll go in there, and in the morning when we come in and take them out, if they've got slugs and snails off, we can just dispose of it. We feed the slugs to the chickens, but you can throw them in your compost bin or throw them in the rubbish. And even though these guys aren't gross feeders, I'm still going to give them some rock dust because I want them to be nutrient dense. Now that the yeast is becoming activated, we're going to dig a small hole and we're going to bury the saucer into it so it's ground level. It makes it easier for the slugs and snails to get onto it. And all we have to do now is put some hoops around them and put some net over to protect it from the birds. Another job to do in early spring is just check on your broad beans. These guys have been a bit blown over because of the strong weather, and my dogs decided to bury a bone in that area, so it's a bit tipped over. So what we're going to do is we're going to pinch out the tops. What this will do is it'll actually side branch and it'll grow from the stem rather than grow up any further. Not only that, but the flowers are just fantastic at this time of year. They're attracting all the bumblebees and the other bees for their nectar. The tips that I'm picking off though are actually, for me, tasting better than the broad beans. You can eat them raw in salad or you can put in stir fries, and they're really easy to take off. And by pinching out the top of this plant here, it's going to encourage the new growth from below to come up, and that'll have new flowers on and new beans and extend the crop life. They have a sort of a flavour of fresh green peas mixed with broad beans. And now that there's a bit of warmth in the air, long may it last.